place was called Superla Spa. It was a full-service establishment. Massage tables, salon chairs, mud baths, etc. The explosion went off a little after 3. A squad car was 2 blocks away when the place went up, so the fire department was able to respond within 4 minutes. Not that it helped. The place was fully engulfed by the time they arrived. They were just lucky to keep it contained to just this building.
I didn't know there was a spa down here.
Building's been here since the late 70s, but it's only been a spa since 98. The gentleman in the corner there is Pete Baja. His company owns Superla Spa. I took his statement, but you'll want to follow up with him too. Have you two met yet?
Not officially. I'm Sarah Seidel. The team speaks very highly of you. You want to take that interview? One mud bath contains a lot more mud than the others. It might just be the way they do it. But the one next to it is filled only up to the line on the side of the tub. That mud is baked solid. We're going to need a way to examine it inside and out, without actually breaking it up and compromising potential evidence. You know, the other day, Catherine was telling me that we have access to an industrial ultrasound device. It sounds perfect for this problem. I'll give her a call. We should take samples of soot from all around this place to see if we can find traces of an accelerant. Look at how it's burned away from its frame. Drywall is usually fire-resistant. Those holes could be there to let more air fan the fire and get to that wooden frame underneath. That could indicate arson, but we'll need a lot more evidence to prove it. If this thing was on last night, we could have our ignition source. It's hard to tell what this was. Not much left of it. Judging from the charring in the inside of the oven, it was in there for long enough to catch fire. It's almost like a timed fuse. So far, that's 2 things that point to arson. We'll need more evidence to be sure. Popcorn-style ceiling. Hold your breath while you're taking that sample. If it's as old as it looks, it's probably got asbestos in it. I think if we can get one more sample of soot after this one, we'll have enough. Gathered soot from all over this place. Should be enough. crimping along the edges of the split gas line. I'd say it was cut. That's the third sign of possible arson we've found. I'm almost convinced.
Hi, Pedro Baja. Baja, like Baja California. But call me Pete. Everyone does. Well, almost everyone.
You in charge of this place, Pete?
I'm the CEO of Miel LLC. It's less impressive than it sounds. It's basically a holding company for a few mom-and-pop style businesses that were worth rescuing when the original owners wanted out. The company owns Super La Spa, what's left of it.
We'll have to notify the claims adjuster when we've released the scene.
Actually, this is kind of embarrassing, but the policy on this place has lapsed.
You let the fire insurance on one of your businesses expire?
It's complicated. We sent them a payment, but they said they didn't get it. Then they wanted us to pay a late fee and raise our premium. I mean, we've done business with them for years, and now they decide to penalize us over a little slip-up? I have some things I need to take care of. Here's my card, at least until the next board meeting. You can reach me at my office.
Now we're living in the future. I'm still waiting for my flying car, but seeing through walls isn't too shabby.
I have a rough idea, but remind me again how the device works.
Just turn it on and point the wand at whatever you want to scan. The sound waves it emits penetrate at different speeds depending on the density of the material.
And the onboard computer translates that into a picture, is that right?
You got it. I don't think I need to tell you to be careful with it, but be careful with it.
Does that look like a human body to you? It looks like we have a victim after all. I'll call Doc Robbins for a pickup.
Cleaning her off is just the first step. This is going to take a while. I'll give you a call when I have something for you.
It's mostly carbon, but there are traces of volcanic minerals and acetone. The mud at the spa is made of volcanic ash, but the acetone is an anomaly. Acetone is sometimes used as an accelerant. We should test the rest of the soot we've collected. There's quite a bit of carbon from where it burned. But there's also wheat flour, tapioca starch, and sodium carboxymethylcellulose. What I'm not seeing are any animal proteins. You know what? I think this is a vegan pastry of some kind. A muffin from the size of it. It's primarily calcium sulfate and asbestos. That explains why the ceiling didn't burn. The soot from the break room contains carbon, acetone, and T-butyl mercaptan. That's the odorant they use in natural gas. That's the second sample of soot to contain acetone. Let's keep analyzing the soot samples we've collected. I think we're onto something. Lots of carbon, some acetone, and trace amounts of T-butyl mercaptan. We have acetone, a known accelerant, in samples of soot taken from every room in the spa. We've got a gas leak that looks to be the result of tampering. The drywall here has been ventilated to get around its natural fireproofing. And then there's this acetone residue over every inch of the place. Throw a muffin in the toaster oven at 450 degrees. Then just leave it in there without setting the timer. Sounds like a recipe for arson.
Hey there, it's Dr. Robbins. Just wanted to let you know I've completed the autopsy on your burn victim.
Hey, Doc, we got your call.
All right, let's begin. Well, her bikini probably left no room for imagination, nor an ID, but I did collect her fingerprints and DNA for you. Take a look at the third-degree burns on your victim's hands and face. You can probably tell that they were above the surface of the mud during the initial explosion and subsequent fire. In addition to the burns to her skin, she suffered thermal injury to her upper airway. She inhaled a substantial amount of smoke and hot gases from the fire. Carboxyhemoglobin levels in her blood exceeded 73%. Cause of death was suffocation due to carbon monoxide poisoning. In a fire that intense, carbon monoxide levels would spike rapidly. She probably fell unconscious pretty quick. Most likely, she slipped under the mud after losing consciousness. Time of death is going to be difficult to determine. Even without the fire, the initial temperature of the mud bath complicates my ability to offer an accurate estimate. I was able to extract samples of the vitreous humor from both eyes. Potassium accumulation in the tissue indicates time of death between 3 and 4 a.m.
That's consistent with when the fire started.
Not exactly, but take a look at this bruising on her arm. Does that look like a handprint to you?
Yeah, looks like someone grabbed her pretty hard.
From the coloration of the bruising, I'd say it occurred at least 6 to 12 hours prior to death. I certainly find no indication she was lying in that mud over a prolonged period of time.
We need to get a photo of those bruises. My camera's memory card is full. You mind documenting this one?
I'll wait.
Our victim is not an aphis. She's not in CODIS. Our Jane Doe doesn't seem to be in the system. Maybe Pete Baja knows her.
Oh, hey, you two. I just got back. What do you need?
We found an unidentified female victim in one of the mud baths at the spa.
God, Portia, no! Portia Wiseman, she's the manager at the spa. She's the only other one with a key. Just the thought that she might have been in there when it went up. I'm sorry, it's just horrible.
We can't be sure who she is until we get a positive identification.
Of course. Let me lock up here. Oh, Portia. No. What were you doing in there?
Actually, we were hoping you could help us shed some light on that. Would you mind answering a few more questions?
Sure.
Was the spa making money?
Sure. I mean, it can always get better, right? But it was profitable.
She's not in the phone book. I looked.
Oh, yes, I know where she lived. Let me write it down for you. I never got the chance to visit her. Here you go. So, I hate to ask, but is that everything you need from me right now? I have to come up with something to tell the board about why I let the insurance run out. And I can't really focus on that while I'm here.
I think we have what we need for now. You'll be at the barber shop if we need you?
I may have some errands to run, but I will be there for some time today, for sure.
Is there anyone you can think of who might have had a reason to start the fire at the spa?
No. I mean, who blows up a spa?
Think back. Did she ever seem unusually angry or depressed?
Well, we weren't exactly close, but I got the feeling she was in a troubled relationship. Little things here and there, really.
Such as?
One Friday, I asked her if she had any fun plans for the weekend. Not really, she said. Just hanging out with the boyfriend. She said it like it was a root canal or something. It wasn't just that. I think he hit her.
Why do you think that he hit her?
Well, Portia always seemed to like showing off her body. I even had to ask her once to wear more than just her bikini to work. But one week, a while back, I can't remember exactly when, she wore long-sleeve shirts every day, and she seemed depressed. When I asked her about it, she gave me some lame excuse about needing to do laundry. But when she thought I wasn't looking, I saw her rub her arm and wince. Well, Portia was a very private person. I know almost nothing about her boyfriend, except what I was able to infer.
Las Vegas Crime Lab, drop the weapon now!
Driver's license says Brian Reed. You mind telling us why you were in Portia Weissman's apartment, Mr. Reed?
It's my girlfriend's apartment. Well, ex-girlfriend as of yesterday.
Do you break into all your ex-girlfriend's apartments?
What? No, I didn't break in. I have a key.
Come on, the door was bashed open and you were standing there with a sledgehammer.
The door was busted in when I got there, so I grabbed the tool just in case the guy who broke in was still hanging around. Hey, just call Portia. She's angry with me, but she'll back me up. A fire? Oh, God. Is she okay?
Unfortunately, Miss Weissman never made it out of the mud bath.
You mean it can't be!
Mr. Reed, we're sorry for your loss.
A fire.
So were you tying up loose ends after you torched the spa?
What? That's crazy! The only loose ends I was tying up were my toothbrush and an extra pair of underwear. And now you tell me she's gone and you're acting like I had something to do with it?
Mr. Reed, Brian, we have no evidence implicating you right now. And we know it must be a shock to hear about Portia. We need your help to figure out what happened to her. I hope you can understand why we want to know the reason you were standing there with that thing.
Sure, yeah, I can see how it looks. But really, it's just like I told you. I stopped by to pick up my stuff, yeah, including the hammer, and the door was broken open. I grabbed the tool for protection on the way inside. It was just inside the door. I wasn't there for more than a minute before you two showed up.
Can anyone verify your location between the hours of 3 and 4 a.m.?
I don't think so, no. I was at home hanging out with my buddy Jack for most of the night. But by then, Jack was gone, and I was pretty much passed out on my couch.
Can your buddy Jack confirm your story?
Well, I try not to ask the bottle too many questions. People look at me funny.
What do you do for a living, Brian?
Living? I'm kind of between jobs right now. I'm looking for something in construction, but I'm not having a lot of luck. I do have a couple of leads, though, so ask me in a week, maybe.
We might have some more questions for you soon. Would you mind waiting?
I might as well. You probably won't get much out of me once I have a chance to start drinking.
Jim, could you do a background check on Brian Reed?
I called it in on the way over. I'll let you know what turns up.
Let's head back to Portia Weissman's apartment. Maybe there's some evidence there that can link the break-in to the fire. We need to find a shoe that matches this impression. It's made out of some kind of dirt. We should get a sample. If we can link the shoe impression to someone, then this dirt might tell us where he's been. Some of the marks here are thin and straight, but some are circular, just like the holes in the drywall at the spa. This isn't just a hammer. It looks like something off a fire truck.
Hey, I ran a background on Brian Reed. Turns out that up until last week, he was a captain with the Las Vegas Fire Department. His battalion chief told me Reed had a mixed service record, multiple commendations for bravery, but the guy was also on probation for insubordination. Well, when Reed failed a random drug test last week for the use of cannabis, they fired him.
This reminds me. The notorious serial arsonist John Leonard Orr was both a fire captain and an arson investigator. Storing something in the broiler pan. Guess it's a little late to warn Portia about the fire hazard. Dates and dollar amounts. It looks like a record of the spa's finances. A black hair pulled out at the root. Portia was a blonde, and Brian Reed has red hair. Someone else was here. The case is open, and the hard drive is missing. The axe head matches the thin slashes, and the hammer side matches the bigger holes. This tool, or one very similar to it, was used to ventilate the drywall at the spa. Brian Reed's Denver tool is a match to the markings on Portia Weissman's door. It's largely made up of feldspar, clinopyroxene, and acetone. The minerals are found in volcanic ash, which is what they used to make the mud for the baths. And acetone was the accelerant used at the spa. Looks like Mr. Baja isn't here, but we could always knock. No answer.
Don't let me keep you. Don't let me keep you.
I'll meet you down there. Mr. Reed, or should I call you Captain Reed?
Not anymore. I'm no longer with the Las Vegas Fire Department.
I bet you've seen a lot of buildings burn, and I bet you know a lot of ways to light them up.
You know something, buddy? You are way the hell out of line. I devoted my life to jumping into the flames and saving people. And I lost friends in those buildings I've seen burn. So for you to sit there and insinuate that I may be an arsonist is the most offensive thing anyone has ever said to me. And Portia? You think I set Portia on fire? I mean, I don't know what kind of animals you people have to deal with, but that's not me!
Being a firefighter was obviously very important to you, so it must have hurt to lose that.
Yeah, well, they were just looking for an excuse. I was actually trying to keep my head down.
You were on probation.
It was a tenement fire in the Alphabets. Battalion chief thought the place was coming down. Ordered me not to go back in. You'd think I might earn a little slack for telling the boss to piss off, but let me save a room full of kids. And again, if I'd stopped at piss off, maybe I would've. Portia made pot brownies. Now, she says she didn't dose me intentionally, but she did leave the damn things right where I would find them, and she didn't tell me what they were. I ate 3 of them. I could barely get out of bed for like a day and a half. I don't know how anyone can stand that stuff. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, Happy Monday! Go pee in a cup! I dumped her because she got me fired from a job I loved.
It's a firefighting tool, isn't it?
It's called a Denver tool. Firefighters use it for getting into and out of places.
Places like apartments?
Only if they're on fire.
We think you used your Denver tool to break Portia's door in.
I told you I got a key! Look, take it if you need it.
You see those marks? They line up perfectly with your Denver tool.
Mine or anybody else's. Even if it was a Denver tool, no firefighter did that. If I really wanted to bring that door down, I'd pry the hinges off. The last thing I'd do is hack at it like a maniac.
The fire was set by someone with the knowledge to burn that building to the ground.
I don't care what you say. I would never start a fire. I told you, I would never start a fire.
The drywall at the spa was ventilated with a Denver tool.
Well, it wasn't my Denver tool. Anybody can buy one on the internet. Even Portia had one.
Why did Portia have a Denver tool?
She took mine. She wanted it for protection. Said it creeped her out to be alone in that place all day.
By that place, do you mean the spa?
Yeah, she had hers at the spa.
You know something? You're right. There are a lot of other Denver tools floating around out there. But in this case, I really only think there's one I need to worry about. And it belongs to you. You followed Portia to the spa, and when she was nice and relaxed in her mud bath, you torched the place. And then you went back to her apartment to get your things, and a few of her things too. And then you tried to disappear. I bet you figured, hey, if it looks like a break-in, then no one will suspect the boyfriend who's already got a key to the place, and that might have worked for you too. But you forgot to light a fire under yourself. You were still standing right there when we rolled up.
Captain, I respect the police. I really do. I know what it's like to go out there every day and put it all on the line. And I know you're just doing your job. But if you can look me straight in the eye and really hear what I'm saying to you, and yet still believe that I could do this to Portia, then I feel very, very sorry for you, because you're not qualified to carry that badge. Now, are you really gonna arrest me, or what?
No, we're not going to arrest you, Brian. But we'd appreciate if you could hold tight here for a while.
All right, I will. For now. And like I said, I'm happy to answer your questions, but no more finger-pointing, or I'm done.
We understand. Thank you. You said that Portia spent hours alone at the spa. How often did she do that?
Just about every day. You know, there were times I started to believe that place might be some sort of front.
A front?
Yeah, you know, for money laundering. Portia was convinced, and she was keeping her own records. She told me that place wasn't making a dime.
Did anyone else know Portia was keeping financial records?
I think she might have mentioned it to a boss, which seemed like the wrong guy to talk to about it, but she trusted him. At least she did. But after she talked to him, she got all paranoid. Ended up hiding all the papers in the broiler drawer. I thought she was just high. Hey, you guys looking at him for this?
Thanks for sticking around.
No problem. I'll be waiting.
Hi. Sorry, I was shaving. Cut myself. What can I do for you?
Portia Weissman owned a firefighting tool. She kept it at the spa for security. Have you seen it?
No. She had some kind of weapon at the spa? Well, that's totally against company policy.
We'll be back.
Looking forward to it.
Good catch. That should contain a workable sample of his DNA. Pete Baja's DNA, ready for processing. Pete Baja was in Portia Weissman's apartment, even though he told us he'd never been there.
How's the arson case? Is your decorated fireman still the prime suspect?
I'm not so sure now. He's got an answer for everything. And what I thought was the best evidence we had against him, his firefighting tool, well, it doesn't actually provide us with anything conclusive. On top of that, the spa's owner, Pete Baja, lied to us about never visiting the victim's apartment.
All right. Well, talk to Brass. See if he can help you take a closer look at this, Mr. Baja.
All right. You're down here already. I was just going to call you. This is Special Agent Gene Huntby of the FBI. It seems your case may be crossing into his jurisdiction. Agent Huntby, why don't I let you explain the situation to them?
Thank you, Captain Brass. It's my understanding your prime suspect in the arson fire at the Super La Spa is Pedro Baja. Is my information correct?
We're looking at him for the arson and a homicide. A young woman by the name of Portia Weissman died in the fire.
Is that right? Well, let me explain why I'm here. Are you familiar with La Reina de la Colmena? Unfortunately, as a member of law enforcement, you should be. In Spanish, it means the Queen of the Hive, and it's the alias for a woman named Beatriz Salazar, now the most dangerous drug lord in Mexico. We believe Pedro Baja was in her employ.
Okay. So is this the part where you tell us to back off Mr. Baja and let you do your job?
No, Ms. Seidel, not at all. I want you to get your man. I want you to get him so bad he'll have no choice but to cut a deal. You see, in the entire universe of La Reina de la Colmena's drug trafficking operation, Baja's just a satellite. A small-time money launderer through those little shops of his. But for some reason, we have him on wiretaps in direct communication with Salazar. The taps themselves are useless because Baja and Salazar communicate in code, referring to things like family, weather, whatever. But why she's talking to him directly instead of through an intermediary, I have no idea. But it's that direct connection that means, if we can bring down Baja, then we have our best shot yet at taking down the Queen of the Hive herself.
Agent Hunby has requested the opportunity to keep tabs on us for a while, and run this one as a joint jurisdiction.
You do your thing, I'll do mine.
Based on what evidence? I was there when Baja said he'd never been in Portia Weissman's apartment. His DNA in that apartment will get you your warrant. Mr. Baja, Las Vegas Police, open up. Looks like he's not here. Guess we'll have to execute the warrant without him. Score 1 for the lockpick gun. Always cleaner than breaking out the battering ram.
Looks like an empty financial or legal portfolio with the spa's logo on it. Those records we found in the Vic's oven are just the kind you'd keep in a binder like this. Vegan blueberry muffins. They look almost edible and flammable. Look at that. The hard disk isn't screwed in. It might just be new, but the Vic's PC was missing a hard drive. We can figure it out back at the lab. These tax forms claim that Superla Spa was highly profitable. Just like the tool we got from Reed. These shears are made for cutting pipes, and we have a severed gas line to account for. I wonder why they need so much acetone. Place is a little too masculine for manicures. You can tell a lot about a person from the kind of shoes they wear. You can tell a lot more if you forensically examine their shoes. Looks like some kind of dried mud. Just where someone would hold a shoe when putting it on. That could tell us who handled this tool. I would expect that to be Pete Baja's fingerprint, since we found the ledger in his office. It wasn't Baja's fingerprint, but why would he have a ledger with Portia's prints on it? It was nice of Mr. Baja to give us his fingerprint like that. Based on the placement of Baja's fingerprint, those have got to be his shoes. Portia Weissman used this tool. It might be the one Brian Reed told us she was keeping at the spa. What's this? Trend Micro Internet Security Pro has detected a virus. Repair. Looks like someone's been practicing unsafe surfing. Okay, let's see what Pete has on this hard drive. Cat pictures, puzzle games, and Portia Weissman's monthly household budget. Looks like we found the drive that was missing from the computer in the loft. It's a vegan blueberry muffin, just like it said on the package. Factor out the carbon, and the muffin that helped ignite the fire is identical to the ones we found in Baja's office. Almost pure acetone. No fragrances, no dye. Very few impurities at all. More volcanic minerals and acetone. The shoes tie Pete Baja to the spot just prior to the explosion. I think we may have enough to nail Baja for starting the fire. His shoes put him in the spa sometime after the acetone was dumped. He'd picked up quantities of both the accelerant and the spa mud. Look at how the imperfections on the blade match up to the markings on the gas line. These shears were used to cut that gas line. It's a match. The hair placed Baja in Portia's apartment, but the footprint puts him there sometime after visiting the spa. The tool from the barber shop could have been used to break into Portia's apartment. Each side of the tool matches one of the distinct shapes ventilating the spa's drywall. Brian Reed's Denver tool is just as likely to have been used to help spread the fire as the tool we recovered from the barber shop. Portia kept her Denver tool at the spa, right where Pete Baja could have easily taken it. Okay, I think I have a pretty clear picture of what happened. Baja was laundering money, and when Portia confronted him about it, he panicked. Then he decided to rig the spa to explode. Portia probably showed up after Pete was gone. Doc Robbins said she had marijuana in her system, so she might not have noticed the acetone. While she was there burning to death, Baja was at her apartment looking for the record she was keeping. With what we have now, an arrest warrant won't be a problem. Let's go talk to Brass.
Good, you're all here.
What's going on, Captain Brass? What's so sensitive you couldn't discuss it over the phone?
We have a visitor. Miss Beatriz Salazar.
You serious? She's here?
The queen of the hive herself just walked in and asked to talk to the CSIs in charge of the Pedro Baja case.
Do you mind if I sit in on this one, Captain Brass?
Be my guest, you can even take my seat. I'll hang back and watch from the viewing room.
Hello, Ms. Salazar. My name is Special Agent...
Gene Huntby. I know who you are. But these two, I am unfamiliar with. I shall presume you are the ones persecuting my poor, clumsy Pedrocito.
We're not persecuting anyone. The evidence speaks for itself, ma'am. Usually when someone wants to talk to us in this room, they want to confess. So, is there something you'd like to get off your chest, Miss Salazar?
You think you're very clever, don't you? Perhaps I know you better than I thought, but I'm here for Pedro. He is family.
Family, huh? You know, I might actually be moved by that if you weren't still the primary suspect in the execution murder of your first husband.
My husband's murderer remains at large, Agent Huntby. Pedro is from Ayapa, my village in Mexico. He graduated from the school I built for them and prayed in the church I gave them. Pedro's family, all 3 of his sisters, they live in the house I provide. So as you can see, I have a significant investment in the future and well-being of this young man.
Sorry about your investment, but like I said, the evidence speaks for itself. And it never lies.
What precisely is this evidence saying to you?
We're not at liberty to discuss the specifics of an ongoing investigation.
Very well, I understand. My heart breaks for Pedro. He always tried so very hard to please me. Sometimes a man is called upon to be more than he has been in the past. Sometimes he fails.
Operations the size of this one, they tend to run right under the radar, making them perfect little laundromats for hundreds of thousands of dollars of your petty cash.
And remind me again, Agent Huntby, why I should need to launder money when I too am a very successful, multinational, legitimate businesswoman? My Pedro was a legitimate small businessman.
Superla Spa wasn't doing nearly as much business as he was reporting.
Oh dear. First you zero in on poor Pedro, and now it sounds like you're investigating me. Shall I get my lawyer? Shall I go?
We don't need to go there right now.
A woman is dead because Pete Baja was trying to clean up a mess. Do you think it was his own? Or yours?
I think if this evidence is speaking to you, miss, then something must be lost in the translation. Regardless of whatever mess there was, Pedro is incapable of violence.
Pedrocito got in over his head, didn't he, B?
That's Miss Salazar to you, Agent Huntby. I do not believe courtesy is too much to ask from an agent of the FBI. But then again, why should I expect anything else from a man who is so clearly prepared to scapegoat a young man like my Pedro? Pedro is not a murderer.
Aren't you afraid you'll leave some trace of yourself behind? A hair or flake of skin? Something with your DNA that we might be able to use against you.
Wouldn't want to make your job more difficult than it has to be. I believe I have made myself very clear to you. I shall not waste any more of your time. Muchas gracias.
What the hell was all that about? I mean, what'd she think she was going to accomplish?
Hey, about that arrest warrant for Baja. Nevada Highway Patrol was able to track him down. The bad news is, he's dead. I need you to meet me at the barbershop. See you there.
2 police officers came by to serve that arrest warrant again. They found him like this. Called it in.
Is that a video camera?
It's aimed right at him.
My name is Pedro Baja. I'm an embezzler and a murderer. I set fire to the Superla Spa in order to cover up the fact that, for some time now, I have been fraudulently reporting its earnings. I poured acetone all over, cut the gas line, and left a muffin to burn in the toaster oven. I wasn't going to do the drywall, but that tool was there, and I was nervous. I swear to God, the place was empty when I rigged it to go up. I didn't know. How could I know that Portia would come by in the middle of the night? I even went to her apartment to talk her into giving me the records she told me about. When she wasn't there, I broke in. It was made crystal clear to me that I needed to get the records. But I never found them. I know it's small comfort, but I apologize to her family and to anyone close to her. I'm so sorry for taking her away. Sometimes a man is called upon to be more than he has been in the past. Sometimes he fails. Please, tell my sisters this. I made a deal with the devil to keep you safe, to give you a better life. I beg you to remember me if you are ever tempted to make a deal of your own. So it's come to this. Goodbye.
So all the forensic evidence supports what Pete Baja confessed to on the video?
Yes, it does. But Pete Baja's confession wasn't for us, was it?
Neither was his suicide. I think he was trying to make amends.
To his queen.
Well, this case may not have resolved itself the way Agent Huntby had hoped. Now he'll have to find another way to trap Salazar. But regardless, you guys did some very good work on this one.
Speaking of good work, I'm glad you didn't have to arrest Brian Reed. I was reviewing his service record, and despite the disciplinary actions, he was a very brave firefighter. Won a Medal of Valor for saving a gymnasium full of high school kids. It's a shame what happened to him. He certainly deserves a second chance.
You know what? I think the deputy fire chief just might owe me a favor.